There we go. All right. Hey, everybody. It's Pedro. I'm back. Round two, or episode two, whatever you want to consider it. But, we're talking about this episode. We're going to talk about a little bit about every story begins with or every story has a beginning. And this is my beginning. Before I get started, I got some food. I still have some old spices from whenever I was in Qatar in 2012. Some barbecue Arabic spice, delicious. So I sprinkled it on my steak. I got some steaks from Dickman's, and if you're not familiar with Dickman's, they have these steaks called ugly steaks. They are ugly, but they're fucking phenomenal. They're like a sirloin cut slash flank steak slash I don't even know. They melt in your mouth. I usually cook them rare, but I've even almost burnt them and they're still delicious. They're phenomenal. They're tender. They fall apart in your mouth and everything. And then I got a couple of beers. One from San Diego, um, Mission Brewery. I love Mission Brewery. Great beer. I've been to their brewery a few times. And then this place I frequent quite a bit. And I know one of the owners. And I've actually, for one of my assignments, whenever I was doing the entrepreneurship program, the master's, I did an interview with him and we did some concepts with him. And he's just a good guy, Jeremy Moto Sonora. And this is my go-to, Victory or Death. IPA, very refreshing. Mission is a double IPA, shipwrecked, you can tell. Um, Good beers. So, with that being said, let me show you the food and then let's get started. There's that ugly steak, rare, um, you know, some mushrooms and onions, some corn, some pasta salad, and potato salad. And kind of the cutting board is shaped in Arizona, something that I make. Those of you guys who know me know that I do woodwork. All right. So every story has a beginning. Cheers, first and foremost. And so, as you guys know, I did 20 years in the military. I did 20 years Air Force. And throughout those 20 years, I always contemplated why I did it. Because sometimes you have your good days, sometimes you have your great days, sometimes you just have absolutely shitty days. But I distinctively remember, I don't know what age, but I know exactly what caused that transition. I'm from San Antonio, so as everybody knows, it's a military town. Tons of military there. At one point in time, they had 5 active duty bases and a whole bunch of reserves and guard units there. So you can go with Kelly, Lackland, Brooks, Randolph, Fort Sam Houston, Camp Bullis, and then all the services had their own reserve locations and own reserve aspects of it. So it was something along those lines where you always saw the uniform there, no matter where you went. I grew up right down the street from Brooks Air Force Base at the time, and now it's Brooks Landing. It was sold back to the city, but there was always uniforms around. Whether I went to HEB, if anybody knows what the fuck HEB is, it's a grocery store, or even going downtown, you always saw uniform. So, military has always kind of been a presence in my life. I didn't have any immediate family that was military except for my uncle. Everybody else was kind of second, third cousins, great uncles, and that type of stuff. Um, but one thing that stuck out in my mind and my memory was I was about, I don't know, 9, 10, 11, somewhere around that age. My daughter's age, my little one's age. And I lived a mile away from Stinson Airfield, small little airfield, biplanes. You would hear the occasional, just little tiny little props coming through. One day I'm sitting outside playing. Who knows what the fuck it was? It was probably He-Man. It was probably Transformer, some crazy shit, or we were just throwing rocks, whatever the fuck it was. And I hear this rumbling, and I'm like, what in the world is that? Again, a small airfield, so nothing big lands there. I look up, and at the time, I just thought it was just this wonderful concept. I had seen jets and everything else, but I'd never seen this before. And I look up, and there's this 4-prop plane, and I'm just like in awe. And lo and behold, later on, I found out it's a B-17. the Yellow Rose to be exact. It's been in like Memphis Belle. It's been in, used as props for other things. It's just a phenomenal aircraft. It is immaculate. I've seen it in air shows and stuff, but I saw this thing fly over and I'm like, what in the hell is that? And it just piqued my interest. Like then the love for planes started coming around, not necessarily biplanes and small little Cessnas and that type of stuff, but stuff that was like just wow. So fast forward a couple years, and my grandfather, um, rest his soul, a great man, and I'll get to a couple little stories about him as well. He wasn't military. He did. He was born in 35, so he missed World War II. He missed Korea, and then later on, again, I'll get into a little bit of story about him. But my grandfather, um, he would take us to air shows. And my uncle ended up joining the Air Force. And I was always like, oh, Air Force, like, what's going on? And I wanted to initially, when I was in high school, join the Marines. Who doesn't want to join the Marines? Fucking wonderful uniforms. Chicks dig it, like all that shit, right? But I had a lot of uncles, great uncles, and stuff that served in Vietnam and Korean War and stuff. And they had conversations with me like, you don't want to join the Marines. And God bless every one of their hearts. I have brothers in arms in every branch, to include the Coast Guard, Navy. It is what it is. Um, and we all joke, but we know, we all got each other's back. And my buddy or my uncle was telling me like, you don't really want to do it, and you don't want to join the Navy if you don't like being stuck on a ship for eons. And I was just like, yeah, I don't really want to do that either. But I really want to go into the Marines. I want to do something. I want to be fucking badass and all that other shit. And I had an uncle who took me around and showed me, and he was like, you know, the quality of living is way different. He kind of took me to the dorms, and he took me to the medical dorms. So, as you military members know, Air Force Medical, hmm, lots of women, right? So that's where I got the little taste of it. And so I just decided, like, uh, God, come on, you know? Ye- But being that we were at Lackland, or being that we were in San Antonio, like Lackland was easily accessible. And then all the services had their own little thing. Fort Sam Houston, I saw the Army. Then I joined ROTC a little later on, my junior year. I was kind of a jock, but I decided to join ROTC to see what was going on, and I enjoyed it. And it was one of those things where I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do Air Force. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Air Force it is." Just because I had seen this, because of the aircraft that I had seen, the B-17, and then all the air shows that my grandfather took me to. Now, that was a little tough because my grandfather was very supportive of my uncle who joined the military, who joined the Air Force, and I was actually stationed with him for 9 years out of my career, which is phenomenal. And I saw him on deployments, and we went TDY together. So it's just crazy that I was able to do that with my uncle. But my grandfather was very supportive, and this is a little fast forward past that whole like initial why I wanted to do it. But one day, I was already a master sergeant. One day, we're sitting down at the table. It was my uncle, my grandfather. My uncle was about to retire. I was, just chilling, having some beers and talking to my uncle, talking to my grandfather. And my grandfather happened to say, like, yeah, I used to work at Stinson. And I was like, oh, yeah, Grandpa, what did you do? And he's like, oh, um, I worked on those B-17s. And I'm like, Grandpa, what? And I'm already at this point in time, I'm 17, 16, 17 years into my career. And I'm like, Grandpa, like, what? Wait a minute. Like, I've gone my whole life. I've been in the military. I'm 35 ish. Grandpa, like, you didn't even tell me this. And then my uncle didn't even know. My uncle was like, wait a minute, what? And so we're sitting there talking to him. And it's like, yeah, you know, when I got to of age, I got this job, and I started doing and then he goes, what is your job again? I was like, I do sheet metal, Grandpa. Well, I'm in charge of a lot of sheet metal guys, but I do sheet metal. And he's like, that's what I did. He's like, I converted B-17s over into um, into forestry aircraft. And I was like, what in the world? And he's like, yeah. He's like, we changed them over, and I was just in awe. I was shocked. I was like, Grandpa, you couldn't have told me this before. You've known that I've been in the military for this long, and I think you would know that I told you that I was sheet metal. He's like, oh yeah, but I didn't really think about it. And I'm like, Grandpa, that's a big deal. Like B-17s, like those are legit. That's an amazing aircraft. That's one of my loves. Like I love that aircraft, and that was just part of the whole thing where, even though my grandfather didn't serve, he still did certain things to where it was like, I'm gonna do this or I did this, and he was just so humble and so quiet, and he was part of the reason why I joined the Air Force, because he didn't join, and he was the only child. So at that point in time, way back then, if you were the only child, you couldn't join, or you would have to get a waiver and everything else, and it was just a big old ordeal. And he didn't want to join. He was just like, nah. And so when my uncle joined, he kind of was like, hey, if you're gonna join, and so me joining, he was happy. He took me to my first duty station. He helped me out, and he was just a part of my life for a while there. Just little stuff. It wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't anything big, but he was part of the main reason why I joined the Air Force, and I didn't join the Marines or the Army, which I really wish I would have. Well, no, because I think if I would have joined either one of those, I wouldn't be who I am now. I would have been a lot different. Not saying that I wouldn't have made a career out of it, but it would have probably taken a bigger toll than it already did on me. But that helped me shape who I was, and that helped me shape how I became, how I joined the Air Force and why I joined the Air Force. I joined the Air Force to get out of San Antonio, to travel, and to serve my country. And everybody's got a why. I joined post or pre 9/11. So we were still in quote unquote peacetime, but we had little conflicts here and there. Operation Southern Watch, Kosovo. Kosovo happened right before I joined, or right when I joined. I was actually in my technical training at that point in time. And shortly after, obviously September 11th happened, but that's another story for another time. But getting back to this, seeing that B-17 fly by, later on, I started doing a little bit of research in history, and later on, um, I ended up deploying. I ended up deploying in 2012 to Qatar, and I deployed with the B-1s. Phenomenal aircraft. If you've been around them, if you've worked them, they're hell to work on. They are just a big beast. Sometimes a piece of shit. Sometimes the greatest thing known to man. But they are the sexiest thing to fly, besides the B-17. I'm going to tell you that because as a kid, when I saw that thing fly over me, I was like in awe. And still to this day, Stinson Field is still there. I don't know if they housed the Yellow Rose there, but it was there for the longest time. I used to see it right after that. I used to see it all the time. So it's still there. It still flies. I actually saw it here at Davis Monthan at an air show probably about, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. And I was just like, oh my God, I still love this thing. It's phenomenal. One of these days I'm going to get a ride on a B-17 and just enjoy it. Like I want to do the gunner ride. Like, why would you not, and as you guys all know, we lost a lot of those B-17s and B-17 crews. So, here's to them. Cheers. So, getting back to my story, I was deploying, and during that deployment, we had something come down for heritage, and when I deployed with the B-1s, we ended up having the Triangle K, or the K Triangle, Triangle K, whatever you want to consider it. And what it was a World War II bomber outfit that we were paying homage to at that point in time. And it's phenomenal because as you're seeing it, as you're living it, you're just thinking about all the history that's, God, these spices are fucking amazing. As you're seeing it and living it, you understand that it's not something to take lightly. It's the people that had Triangle K were people who fought Nazis. People died, and you know, they proved themselves. So when we deployed, and I deployed to Qatar, we had that Triangle K on our tails, and it was just phenomenal. Thinking about, like, you know, later on after the fact, because my grandfather told me after I had deployed, just thinking that there's a direct relation to it because my grandfather worked on these aircraft, maybe not during war, but later on, and he had a, you know, just by the look on his face, he seemed like he had a good time with them. So as we're there in Qatar, it's just an amazing time. I mean, there was times where, and many of you military members know this, but you know, you work countless hours, you know, and when you're working on an aircraft, you're not supposed to work more than 12 hours on an aircraft. You can work up to 16, but you got to, it's 12 hours on aircraft and administrative stuff. Some of us kind of skirt the lines a little and work, I don't know, quite a bit of hours. And, you know, you're just trying to make the mission happen. So, you know, when you see that K on there, and you see that there's heritage, and then you see the mission that you're a part of, you know, you're a little more apt to want to do it. It kind of gives you like a motive, an incentive, and something that, you know, to look forward to, not just what you're doing, but, you know, we were there supporting the warfighter. Um, you know, while I was there, there was one of my buddies who became a TAC-P or a JTAC. And, you know, those are the guys that go in with the Army. And, you know, what they do is they call in munitions or call into aircraft, and the aircraft drop bombs, or shoot, you know, shoot some other military member, or not military, but enemy. And so, you know, that's what it was. It was, you know, he gave us a call and was like, or he gave me a, you know, ring on Facebook, and then hit me up and was like, yo, like, I see you're deployed, because I had posted something about me being deployed. He's like, where are you at? And I was like, oh shit, I'm in Qatar. He's like, fuck, dude. Again, like the last story that I said about, you know, those Army guys that came in, this dude's Air Force, who was a sheet metal guy and then cross trained over, and he's all about, damn, dude, like, tell your boys thank you, because, you know, without their support, he knows how B1s are finicky when they fly, you know, like, they break a lot, but when they're deployed, for some reason they just fly amazingly. And that's great, you know, for the warfighter, that's amazing. And, you know, he also said thank you. He told me to tell, you know, all the people that I work with and everybody else, and if I could even get a hold of like the pro supers, and you know, the air crew, let them know. Which, you know, fine and dandy, great. But as you're working them, you just have a sense of pride. Like, these things drop fucking bombs on the enemy, on those bad guys that just, you're just like, what in the hell? You know, like, these guys are evil. They have no fucking souls. They just want to eradicate everything. So we try to eradicate them. And, you know, some of the proudest moments are, you know, you see these things and they take off. But before they take off, you see, you know, the munitions. And if you've ever looked it up, like, look up a B1 and look up a B1 payload and just take a look, because you're going to see, like, holy hell, like, the amount of bombs that this thing can carry and drop. And the greatest thing to see is when they come back and they open their bomb bays, and you see a Winchester. And you're, for those individuals that don't know, but a Winchester is when you completely, you know, everything is empty. Like, they dropped every single munition or every single whatever they had in there. And when they come back Winchester, you know they did some damage. You know that you just felt proud. Like, why not feel proud? You know, you look at it and you're just like, fucking A. Like, I signed my name on that bomb, which you're not supposed to do, you know. And I signed my name on that bomb. That bomb doesn't exist anymore. That motherfucker is vaporized in some fucking ISIS or some fucking, you know, jihadist ass. Like, bye, Felicia. You know, like that type of shit. Like, fuck this guy, you know? And maybe that's not being politically correct. Maybe I should be a little more sensitive, but I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever. You know, this is what we did. This is how, you know, like, this was our mindset. Like, this is what we're doing. We're protecting who we can, what we can, and why. Our who, what's, and whys. And there was a time where we were just out, and there's a couple individuals that you know that can relate to this. But when you hear the aircraft up in the air and you see it flying, you're like, God, that thing's a sexy motherfucker. When you hear it on the ground and taking off, you're like, damn, that thing's fucking loud as hell, but it's still sexy. When there was a spot, and it was called the Hill, and we used to like stand on it, like stand in that area, and you can pull your vehicle in there, and you can stand right in the edge, and it's still pretty far away from the flight line, but it's still close enough to where you can see and feel everything. And so this thing has some pretty amazing engines on it, and it's taking off, and it's taking off on augment, or as most people see it, full afterburner, but it's augmented. And as it's taking off, you're just wondering, wow, look at this thing. So you're looking at it like damn near a mile down, and it's taking off, fully loaded, fully fueled, just ready to go and wreak havoc. And this thing's, you're waiting and you're like, oh, fuck, it's fucking 20 seconds. Oh, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then you see it. And about 30 degrees from where you're looking straight, you see these four little flames, or just this flame back there. And you start feeling it. And when that thing gets about 10 degrees from you looking straight, you are feeling and hearing every bit of that thrust going off. And I can't tell you how many pounds it is. I'm not a jet engine mechanic, and I can easily find that data, but like, you feel it. And as it's passing by, there is no way in hell, as an American, if you were there listening to this thing, that you wouldn't just feel like that was the sound of freedom going by. Because as you feel it and you see it and you know what's on that motherfucker, with all the munitions, with everything that it has, that thing is literally going to eradicate some evil sons of bitches. And that's the thing. It was amazing. And that rumbling feeling is probably the best feeling that I've ever had. I've also had that. I sat right under the engines of F-15s as they're going full AB, parked, chalked, and cabled, so they don't, it doesn't take off. But you feel it, and your whole insides, it could turn your insides into jelly, damn near, because you're just shaking, and you're shaking at such a intense feeling that you're just like, I can't do much of this. This is too much. This is absolutely too much. But it's fun. It's something that's prideful. And with that deployment, that was one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen. I have a few recordings of it somewhere. I don't know. I probably shouldn't even have them. I don't know. Like, I mean, they didn't really say anything, but it's just knowing that. And I get back to I was talking about my grandfather and the why, like kind of why I joined. I joined to travel, to see, and to serve my country. And we all have a why. We all understand why we have our whys. Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't understand why we have our whys. But my why was, I'm going to do at least a minimum of 4 years. I'm going to serve my country for my obligation. And I ended up doing 20. And I have 4 kids. And I did my 20, not for me, but for them. Because if they don't ever want to join, at least I know my family is covered, and we've all served, quote unquote, even though they haven't served. But I served for them with their term. So I did my term, and I did 4 for each kid. And that's just the way I feel. I feel like Israel and some of these other countries, that the majority of the people here in the United States should serve. It creates discipline. It gives you insight. It gives you job training. It does. But what do I know, right? I mean, what do I know? We're a society that doesn't even care about that anymore. We're a service industry and not an industrial type of society. Anyway, that's totally getting a little sidetracked there. But the why, the who was my grandfather, my uncle, and my uncles, and everybody that were, that kind of helped mold me. And then there was, in ROTC, hey, Sergeant G, you were one of the ones. You're one of the ones that kind of gave me that little push to go into the Air Force. So Sergeant G, Sergeant Gizendaner, if you watch this, hey, this is for you, man, because you were part of it. You were absolutely part of it. That was a who. The what, like, what did I want to do? I didn't even know. I was lost. I hated school. Fuck, I still hate school, and I'm still going to school, or I still was going to school. Um, but it was one of those things where it was a what. It was like, what am I going to do with my life? What better way than to not travel, or than to travel, to see the world, to experience and have fun? And everybody's got a fucking why. Why? To serve my country, to see, and to have fucking fun, to drink some fucking beers and to fucking have some barbecue and to do it for our families and our friends and our country. And that's what I want to do. I want every motherfucker that comes on here to tell me why. Why did you join? Fuck, dude, you could have joined because you were poor. You could have joined post 9/11 because you had a sense of patriotism, which I don't think that exists anymore. It almost doesn't exist, damn near. But or you could have joined in the fucking 80s. Tell me why. There's a reason. Everybody's got a reason. Everybody's got that fucking why. I got a why for everything in my life. But the why of the military is what makes the story. It's what brings that story along. And I hope that I can draw that out of everybody that I have. I haven't had, this is my second one, and I haven't done a guest yet because I wanted to tell you my why. My why is very important to building this whole podcast, and why I want food and why I want beer, because it opens people up. It allows people to just sit there and be like, fuck yeah, man. Like, when you get in front of the camera, you get a little tense. I don't, because everybody knows who the fuck I am, and everybody knows, everybody who knows me knows that I'm a fucking talker, and I'll fucking talk about anything. We could talk about fucking why the sky is blue, why the fucking ocean tastes like salt. Like, we could just fucking talk about anything. You know, um, I know a little about a lot. It's what it is. But people get a little shy around the camera. Throw a couple beers in, people will naturally just become relaxed and just want to talk, and I don't want to share intimates. I don't want to share, you know um, items that are, potentially classified or any of that stuff. That's not even what I'm about. I'm about just tell your fucking story as to why you joined, why you want to do this, where it took you, what did you do that was exciting, that made you just be like, fuck yeah, I'm an American and this is why I did it. Because nobody else in the world understands why America is the way they are, or why Americans are the way they are. American military. We have such a reputation out there, and it's a negative and a positive reputation. I've heard both sides, but it's still a reputation nonetheless, and we uphold it all the time. Whether it be we're obnoxious and we're fucking arrogant, we are. We're the fucking best. We train the best. We fucking fight the best. We've been at war. I mean, our country since 1776 has been through, like, of the 200 and what, almost 250 years, like 230 years of it have been in some kind of conflict or war. So, yeah, we're the fucking best. We fight. Nobody else is out there doing what we're doing. So, when they think that we're arrogant, we're obnoxious, and we're everything else, I'll take it. We'll take it. We fucking will take it. The Brits are just like that too, and they got fucking thousands of years of fucking fighting and everything else. The Aussies are they could be a little bit, and but who cares? Because when it all comes down to it, who the fuck do they want on their side? The Americans. I mean, some people thought maybe, hey, let's get some Russians. Nah, come on, guys. They haven't really done anything lately. Um, anyway, sidebar. But yeah, this is why I didn't want to bring in a guest right now. I think next one or two might be without a guest as well. Kind of just explain why. just give you a little history of my tour or of my 20 years of the different positions in different places, and kind of just give you a little snippet of every place that I've been or everything that I've done. Um, there's good times, there's bad times, but hey, I'm about to enjoy my meal, some great fucking spices. And when I do get a chance to start having people, in front of this is what I want, is the why. And I will make something. I will put something on my back screen or something that says, what is your fucking why? Why? Why did you want to do it? Why do you want to do it? Why do you continue to do it if you're still in? Because it's an ever evolving change. And with that change, I hope that people understand that sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but there's still your why. Are you doing it for your kids? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for your country? Most of the time, people are going to say country, which is great. That's what I wanted to do. But everybody has their own little reasons. It doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for watching this. First episode had 135 views, 16 likes, 20 subscriptions. Keep on subscribing. Like it. Love it. Next week or the week after, I might have an intro. I'm working with one of my buddies, with Sean, to kind of create something to where I have a little intro and, maybe a little backdrop or a little, 30-second video of what's going on. But that's what I'm doing. Please send comments, send likes, send, hey, if you wanna be a part of this, I am gonna travel. Like I said before, I'm going to Chicago. Adam Platt is gonna be, one of my first guests. But I saw some of the people that commented. I'm willing to go to Florida. Georgia's right there. Scott Ward, I'm there. So Georgia, Jared, who else? Campbell, right? You guys are all right in that same vicinity. I'm down. I'm going to San Antonio. I'm going to go see fucking James Wells. We're going to have some beers. We're going to fucking, talk about his shit and everything that he's going on. He's a recruiter, so he's probably going to sell a lot of shit. Whatever. Good for him. I hope he recruits somebody just off of this, but there's other individuals that are in San Antonio. There's other individuals that are all across the United States and across the world that I do want to reach out to, or that I would love for them to reach out to me, and we can collaborate something. Whether we do something on Zoom, which doesn't have the same effect, or I take a little weekend, take a 3 or 4 day weekend, go out there, have some beers, go to some breweries, and we just fucking barbecue and fucking drink and talk. And I'm down. So again, like, share, comment, definitely share, and let's keep this going. Let's make this something, beneficial, something good for everybody, and create an outlet, because everybody loves. Fuck, man. Joe Rogan talks about all kinds of shit, and it's amazing. It's amazing to hear all that shit. I don't have some of the fucking crazy stories that he does, but I'm pretty sure I got some crazy stories that, probably shouldn't be on this platform. But fuck it, right? That's what we're here to do. We're here to tell stories, and that's what it is. It's fucking barbecue that I got right here that I'm about to fucking polish off soon. Some stories, and then some fucking beer. So enjoy, be safe, have a great weekend. It's Saturday, and I love you, motherfuckers. Take care, man, and women.